Shipwrecked 64 dropped at the tail end of 2023, and this game is a masterpiece of horror ARG gaming with its buildup of dread, puzzles, and overall atmosphere. It took bigger content creators months to discover this horror gem, but what surprises me more is how no one has discovered its secrets that are hidden out of bounds of the player's camera. There are so many cool things hidden just under the surface level of this game, even in the beginning before all the real happens. And today, we're going deeper than ever in this never-ending rabbit hole of Shipwrecked 64. We are going to explore the fun hidden secrets in the 2023 version of Shipwrecked 64, unveiling leftover character models, dev jokes, and more as we take the camera wherever the we want in what I like to call freestyle cam. I was able to ask the developer of Shipwrecked 64, Squeaks some questions about the mysteries behind some of these random things I found as I explored the game. So with all that said, let's jump into it. Let me recap the story of Shipwrecked 64 before we hop in, just in case you missed it. Shipwrecked 64 is about a group of critter sailors who crash into an island inhabited by wolves. The wolves are angry at our crew and demand we clean up the mess we made. They make Giovanni Goose cook them a meal, Olive Otter must collect coconuts for them, Walter Walrus must clear the waterway, and Bucky needs to collect the debris left over from the shipwreck. Doesn't seem so bad until you learn the volcano on the island will erupt in 3 days and envelop this tropical paradise in the flames of hell itself. Dark secrets lurk beneath the surface of this family-friendly game. Mysteries, betrayal, greed, and death haunt this adorable game, and it's time we expose the skeletons hiding within Cogware's most infamous game. Starting off with the title screen, we can already play around with our camera and take a look around. Not much is really going on here, but we can zoom out above our little sailors and we can see another 3D model of the logo from where it drops down for the player camera when the game loads in. Of course, before we leave, let's zoom out a bit and take a look at how massive this area is just for this cute little title screen. The main menu will be fun to explore because we get to see kind of how this whole game works. Starting off, if we try to take our freestyle camera through any of the doors, they're not going to lead anywhere. However, once we go outside the skybox, we have another skybox where we see 2 buildings, which house the areas for the secrets and bonuses and the settings when Bucky enters those doors. Alright, now let's really get into the meat and potatoes of this game and load into a new game. Today we are just covering the 2023 version of the game, but don't worry, we will be going over the 1997 version in another video. Also, while this game is meant to be played in a 4:3 aspect ratio, our freestyle camera will make it 16:3, so I apologize for text and other HUD items getting cut off. Also, there's so much to cover in this video, so get your food, get your drink, get all comfy, and let's really dive into the deep end here. Once we load in and talk to our bucktooth companion, we can hop right into playing around, and first thing we discover is the dialogue box isn't tied to the camera at all, but to Bucky's character model. According to the developer, this is because the game uses a post-process effect to add dithering and pixelation. However, traditional UI doesn't have that, but this method does. Staying on the beach here, if we go under the surface, we will find a weird giant beating heart? What? This really surprised me when I found this, and while it is giving Edgar Allan Poe vibes, Squeaks said that really it was placed there just for data miners to find. It's not meant to be surreal, but to be seen by data miners to show the heart is relevant. Leaving our beached beaver behind, if we zoom out, we can see other skyboxes, but in this particular zoom out here, I ended up finding a small army of olive otters walking around on a random building, animations, sounds, and all. If we give this map a proper zoom out, we can see all the areas of the game are already loaded in, fully rendered with characters and animations. Also, despite not being in the areas, the NPC heads are locked onto Bucky, and no matter where you are in the game, they will always be looking at you. But there are still some secrets hidden out in the distance in 2 very large houses. Looking at the first one, it takes a bit to travel there at full speed, but inside we get a meme of an image of Slenderman in a public park labeled John Slenderman that was added back in April as a fun April Fool's prank by Squeaks. Moving on over to the other mysterious house in the ocean on the opposite side, there is a small hidden text inside the house that says, "There is no house in the ocean." Well, that's twice I've been gaslight this month, but Squeaks was happy to share the meaning behind the text, as the whole aesthetic and ARG inspiration for Shipwrecked 64 was inspired by a YouTube video, The House in the Ocean, part of an analog horror series by YouTuber Manticore. And this little house confirms that there really is a house in the ocean. Heading back to shore, let's keep exploring under the surface where we get to find hidden character models. Starting off right under the starting area, we find a rather dapper gentle bunny named JD, who we don't ever really actually see in this part of the game, but later on as we navigate through the volcano, so it's kind of weird seeing him here, making me wonder if he might have been originally placed here to greet the player but was later moved out of sight. Under the ground in other areas, we can find old character models of the main cast: Olive, Walter, Giovanni, and Chief Wolf. They are actually all fully rigged and animated with their idle animations. According to Squeaks, these models were used for pre-rendered cutscenes in the original short game, but once everything for the full game was animated and completed with new character models, they were moved under the map. If we go out in the distance above the map, we can also find all the original character models floating in the air like they're ready for a class photo. Exploring outside the skyboxes a bit more, we can find this little wooden room floating above the jungle where Olive is just vibing. As we slowly approach this floating structure, the lighting changes into the spooky lighting, as I like to call it. This area was originally intended for a first-person perspective portion of the game that was later scrapped and used post-processed volumes to darken certain areas. It's the same lighting technique used in Walter Walrus's minigame when that area goes dark. Squeaks adds that the game kind of has its own lighting engine, which makes it look and feel more accurate to what the original Nintendo 64 could do. Speaking of, let's move on and see what Walter Walrus is up to, where we have to clear the waterway to move the boat. Taking the camera out of the usual boundaries, we don't see too much going on here, except there is an exact copy of the boat and a random floating button. If we do a classic zoom out of the entire area, we find an unused and unfinished hook model just hanging out in the sky. I'm feeling a bit hungry, so let's go over and see what Giovanni Goose is cooking in his kitchen. We're gonna jump right out of the kitchen here and see what's beyond these walls, and it's actually the creepy, misty forest we see throughout the game, particularly in the 1997 version. What's really wild here is that in the 2023 version, just below the kitchen, we see the model of Giovanni's face pressed onto the stovetop. This is really interesting because while we don't see this scene play out in the 2023 version, we do see it in the 97 playthrough. According to our lovely game dev, he tells us that the model loads in regardless of what version you're playing, but how you find it depends on what version you're playing. Want to find it organically, you play through the 1997 version. Feeling a bit naughty? Play around with the freestyle camera in the 2023 version. But before we leave, let's get a good look at this entire area in all its glory. Looks like this goose is cooked. I'm going to skip over Olive Otter's coconut minigame as I didn't find anything terribly wild in this area, so let's go see what's happening with Bucky and Chief Wolf. Here, we have to find the flaming pieces of our wrecked boat in a spooky forest, all while a creepy spirit hunts us down. Here, we can pause everything and get a real good look at this haunting spirit, and this creature does not disappoint in the creepy department. Of course, we need to zoom out and appreciate this haunted wood in all its glory. Last but never ever least, we can now help out the best character in the entire game, Stumblr O'Hare. Here we enter a creepy cave and help Stumblr collect paint for his masterpiece, as well as picking up his canvas when it falls over. If we zoom out of the cave, in the distance, we can see the skyboxes mostly dark with a lone planet in the background and some rocky texture. This rocky texture is actually the cliffside we can explore to get more paint for our unarmed hare. The fog we usually see when we walk around on this cliffside doesn't actually load in until Bucky enters the area. We are now at the end of the game, and we are going to explore the end cutscene for the good ending if you complete the volcano minigame challenge with JD. Since the cutscenes are not pre-renders, we can have a bit of fun here. While we see Bucky on the giant ship, we can actually go under the water surface and we can find an adorable Bucky swimming in the water. This was originally part of a scrapped cutscene where Bucky would have crawled to shore. Honestly, he just looks so cute, like a real beaver swimming in the water. This is so cute. There's also a bunch of other cool out-of-bounds models, like Olive, Bucky, and Giovanni, all on the ship, but where's Walter?
Get in, loser, we're going shopping.
Oh no, it looks like they left our tusked buddy behind with nothing but a sail. Just about everything else is the same with the old character models under the map, but they're no longer animated and some other left in structures and areas. Of course, we need to explore the end credits. Zooming out, we can see how the entire cast and crew's credits are rolled in front of all our characters on the giant ship. Looks like everyone made it out alive, even little Stumblr. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I know this is different than what I usually do, but I really love this game and I accidentally found all these cool secrets and was sad when no one really talked about all the cool stuff hidden in the game or just didn't want to. Don't forget to subscribe when I cover the 1997 version and you don't want to miss it. Let me tell you, things get even weirder as we explore the depths of this innocent game. I hope you enjoyed all these little secrets, and I want to shout out Squeaks, the creator and developer of Shipwrecked 64, for providing some of the context and information on everything we saw today. I also want to shout out Otis_inf for creating the Unreal Unlocker that allowed me to take the camera wherever we wanted and explore the games that we love. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video.